welcome to day 2 of our 5th IBF Virtual Career Fair. My name is Florence from the IBF, and I'll be your host for today's webinars. For those of you who have joined us, who have just joined us and missed yesterday, a very quick recap. This virtual event is meant to bring job seekers closer to job and training opportunities available across the financial services sector in a single platform. We have a total of 16 employers and 8 training providers joining us for this round, showcasing a myriad of job and training opportunities in the hiring zone and skills zone, respectively. 11 of the financial institutions will be doing half-hour sharing sessions over these 2 days to provide more details on their companies and job openings and take questions from the audience. If you have missed yesterday's sessions, no worries. Just click on the sessions you missed to access a recording of the session. The 8 training providers will also be conducting a total of 18 workshops in key skill areas, including human-centered design, data analytics, artificial intelligence, business agility, business storytelling, UX design, ops risk management, and fintech. Head over to the skill zone and check out the schedule on their booths and the workshops to attend their workshops that are free to attend, and you can accumulate non-core CPD hours. You can just click on the join links to register and attend. Apart from these exciting sessions, we also have lined up several webinars that will provide you with more insights on key jobs and skills, as well as tools and resources that can help you train and upskill and stay ahead in today's fast-changing environment. So to kick off this morning's webinar sessions, we have Mr. Adrian Wu, Senior Career Advisor from IBF's Careers Connect, to share tips on how best to answer that dreaded question of tell me about yourself, and making a lasting impression through succinct but adequate replies. During the session, please feel free to put any questions you have in the Q&A window, and we'll address these live during the session. I'll now hand the time over to Adrian.
Thanks, Flo. Good morning, everyone. Hope you can see me and hear me. Should be okay because I tested it just now. So good morning, everyone. This is the first session, Rise and Shine. A bit nervous for myself as well because first session, everybody's very awake, including my bosses, right? So I hope I do everybody justice. Most important thing is that I hope that I can get some messages across to you guys in the best way possible. And hopefully there are no employers here because, you know, secret between you and some of the things I'm going to share, just tips and tricks, right? For you and for your benefit. Okay, so let me start by sharing a screen first. Give me a second. All right. Okay, so I hope you guys can see it. I just want to tell you a bit more about this session. You know, it's fairly new. I've run it a few times, and I thought this would be a very interesting title, very catchy title. Tell me about yourself. But when I reflect on the content of it, and it's ever developing, I've added a few more things that I feel might be useful, because most of the stuff that I added, I feel is going to be useful for you in hopefully today. But if today, you know, the preparation I'm going to be talking about is a bit too last minute, then hopefully it will serve you well as you have your other adventures and interviewings outside of the VCF today. So for those people who have been to this presentation before, thank you, welcome again. You know, I don't know what you're doing here, but welcome again. And for those people who are new, I sincerely hope you gain some insight from what I'm going to share. A lot of things I'm going to be sharing is really through my own experience, myself, and through the hundreds and thousands of people that I've met across the years, across the last decade, right? So hopefully some of the material here will be useful to you. So let me just get started. Okay. All right. Now, before I go customary, I got to tell everybody about IBF because it often seems that not many people know about the IBF Careers Connect team. We're not yet even 4 years old, but we're trying to make a dent in terms of helping people who need help in terms of career advice, help them get successful. So a lot of words here in this slide, but essentially we work with companies and job seekers, essentially what you're seeing, right? So we do a lot of coaching, do a lot of workshops and events like what you're seeing right now. We also work with companies to help them find talent. So it's a cycle. If we meet good candidates, we will then be very happy if the candidates are suitable and well prepared, that we might refer them to the companies that we work with, right? And then obviously, if a company unfortunately needs to downsize, we also offer our services to make sure that the people affected are given a soft landing, right? So we might go on site to support the company and the employees that are affected. So everything that we do is very much employment centered. So supporting them in basically their career journey lah. Okay, so this slide, I love it a lot. My team calls it the hut slide. So it kind of exemplifies the relationship that I normally have, a career coach normally has with our job seekers, right? So the guy that's actually running the football team is like hut, right? That's me, right? Or that's a career advisor, right? And that's me, right? And then those fellas are you lah. Okay, so the name of the game, or the aim of this session, is to make sure that you're as well prepared, as psyched up as possible for battle, for going out there and meeting people and making an impression, and ultimately getting a job, right? So, I'm cheering you on. So all the career advisors as well. So hopefully this cute little graphic will inspire you, make you laugh a bit, but also get you energized. A few more as well, huh? Okay, so oftentimes people think that this is the market right now. There are so many jobs, and there's so many people out there. It feels as though you're chasing, you're chasing someone, or someone's chasing you, right? So you can see a lion is some other person, and you're trying to make sure you have some distance between the next person, or the opposite, right? Could be you chasing some other person. But I think at the end of the day, what I want to tell people is don't think about competition around you. I mean, it's good to acknowledge that there is competition because it keeps you sharp. But hopefully the analogy that you have is that's you at the back and you're chasing the job. So the gazelle in front is no longer competition. Focus less on that. Focus on you chasing that job. Okay, it's just you and the job. Right. I think that's the most appropriate thing, or appropriate way to think about this whole job hunting thing. Right. So the next one. Give me a second. Okay. So getting ready. Again, I just want to share everything in as succinct a way as I can, in terms of the things that I feel that are. Oh, did I miss a slide? Okay, sorry. This is a slide I just added literally like 10 minutes ago. I just wanted to talk to you guys about the top skills I feel that are literally invaluable for interviews, networking, and generally life. Okay, and these are the 4 things that I just want to highlight, amongst others you can probably think about. So the first one is thinking on your feet. And I think as I go through the slides in a bit, you will see elements of where this comes in. Okay, so that one's very important. The next one is confidence plus humility, right? So you don't want to be overconfident. You don't want to be cocky, certainly not. You want to portray confidence, but you also want to stay humble, hungry, and humility, right? The third one is as far as interviews and networking and job hunting is concerned, it's always about you, not me, right? How can I help you? How can I help the company? Not the other way around. If I get this job, I will learn this, I will get this, I will get this. Therefore, you must give me the job. So you always have to reverse it in terms of how you can contribute to the company. Okay. And then the last but not least is authenticity, is being real. Being yourself, being comfortable in your own shoes, right? So like for me, like just talking to me now, this is literally who I am. I'm not, there's no mask, no nothing. My colleagues will tell you this is Adrian on a day-to-day. So authenticity. So these are among, I guess, the 4 things that I want everybody to remember that's going to serve you really well, interviews, networking, and generally in life. Okay. And so in terms of getting ready proper, just 5 things I've highlighted. The first one is research. Let me talk about that for a bit because I just added it like 10 minutes ago. In the VCF, as you're getting ready today, to speak to people, perhaps maybe there's not enough time to do research on the company or the role or even the interviewer that you might be speaking to. Don't know whether there's time. But whatever it is, in situations outside the VCF, when you are getting ready to speak to somebody or going for an interview, informational interview, official interview, whatever it might be, I think it's very, very important to make sure that you research well. Okay, so if you can do it today, that's great. But of course, if not, then see what you can do lah. Okay. So research. So one of the things that I like to do is, if possible, I like to find out not just about the company and the role, but about the person that's going to be interviewing me, right? So maybe about a couple of weeks ago, I was running a session for a group of women in technology for a bank, and I came to know that the interviewer is quite a seasoned talent acquisition person. But when you look at his background, right, this person is a career changer. So these are the things, right, I try to latch on. Because he's a career changer, then I think to myself, then actually hopefully, right, if you say the right things in the right way, hopefully the person will also understand that you're a career changer too. So I look at elements of that person, and I try to see whether or not I can find topics or content that I can find a way to relate to him. Do you know what I mean? So that person, the talent acquisition person, was an accountant and became a talent acquisition person. So it's a career change. And then the women that I was working with represented also career changers. So in that sense, I told them, why don't you see whether or not you can appeal to that part of him, how difficult it was for him when he did a career switch, and tell him that, this is where you are now. So research is very important. So that one, is something that you really have to do. Okay. And then the remaining are basically, the technological environmental prep. We'll talk about it in a bit. The mental preparation, establishing chemistry and rapport, and of course, storytelling. Again, all these things I'll talk to one by one, okay? But as I go through all of these, you will see, hopefully, those things, the top skills. And you're probably going to be thinking about, okay, in this bullet point, I think the top skills here might be this, might be that. You'll see it, hopefully, right? Okay, so the first things first. Technological and environmental prep, right? Super important. Sometimes taken for granted, right? All systems tested and ready to go, and pleasant surroundings, lighting, virtual backgrounds. Okay, so in the last 2 years, right, since we've gone virtual, in the sessions that I've done, it's all virtual, right? So I have had the ability to see and talk to candidates, and I've identified some of the technological and environmental pain points that make virtual sessions either wonderful or a real pain. And really, you don't want it to be the second one, because it's just very pictic. Oh, so it's very irritating to be saying, can you hear me? Can I hear you? Can you hear? Hello, can you hear me? It wastes time. It's kind of irritating. Okay. So for number one, try to get this one correct. Okay. So one of the things that I want to say is that things like lighting, microphones and stuff like that, if you can, go give it a test lah, basically. So for myself, a little known fact is that I am, apart from being a career advisor, I am actually a musician. So for the last 2 decades. And so I just happen to have pretty good equipment, because, we go to the studio and we do recording. And I realized that, hey, I could repurpose my stuff to do these virtual sessions. So, these are monitored earphones, and I'm talking through a very cool condenser microphone. So I don't know, hopefully it's clear lah. Okay. And I'm not telling you guys, right, to go out there and go and spend like $500 on buying stuff. You don't have to, right? Even the lighting that you're looking right now, I keep telling people, oh my God, it's Miniso, $9.90. The light that's flashing on my face right now, it's only $9. So I think what I'm trying to say is that make sure that your equipment is functioning well. Okay. The reason why I favor earphones is because sometimes the other party, whoever it is, an interviewer who's not technologically prepped, I can't really hear. The earphones help me to hear every single word of what the person is saying. So that's just my preference. Okay. So you think about how it is that you can do small tweaks to your technological setup, right? Also, things like lighting, right? As you can see, the light's facing me, so it's like, shining my face a little bit, giving a bit of life and brightness, right? Never put the light at your back. Don't face a window with the sun shining in, because it will turn you black, literally. Okay, you don't want that. Also, some of the things that I've also seen is that the backgrounds. Okay, the backgrounds. Some people, quite a number of people, right? They do their interviews in a room, and it just so happens behind them are it's like a clothes hanger with lots of clothes hanging. Could be outerwear, innerwear, So and when I talk to them, my eyes just focus inevitably to those because of the colors and stuff. I don't necessarily think it's appropriate lah. Do you know what I mean? And it's quite messy at the back. So, you know, messy background equals messy candidate. I don't know. But whatever it is, make sure that the environment is clean, right? And that's why virtual backgrounds are so interesting right now. So if I took off my virtual background right now, you would actually see that I'm in some sort of like a storage cabinet. It is the quietest place in my house that I can find right now in the midst of all the drilling that's going on. So the virtual backgrounds you can see has been prepared. Well, it's quite nice. It's been prepared by Florence and the team for myself. So I really encourage you guys to think about having a virtual background if possible, and obviously an appropriate one. You know, nothing like Minecraft or Roblox and stuff in behind. Pokemon, don't do that, right? So make sure that the virtual background is appropriate. Some of the interesting things that I've also witnessed, some really cutting edge, cool. I call them cool candidates, right? They actually go into PowerPoint. They put something like what you see on my background, my name and everything. They put their name and then they put like some core skills, you know. So it's like John Doe, right? So you can something like aspiring data analyst, photographer, painter, you know, kind of like very cool because whoa, data and all this left brain and right brain. I found it quite interesting, right? And then they dimension the thing, super nice, perfect for a Zoom, the Zoom background dimensions. So some of the things I've seen are actually quite nifty. But again, it's really your comfort level. But whatever it is, I think it's important to make sure that the technological environmental prep are, you know, taken care of right from the get-go. And also remember, if you can, try to test out your technology, your bandwidth, internet before a virtual session, before an interview, right? So yesterday at 4 p.m., I did a session with someone, and because the VCF runs minute by minute, right? We didn't have a lot of time to prep. So I actually opened my own Zoom room with a speaker and we tested it to make sure that the mics and the videos working well before I jumped in. So please go ahead and prepare that. Okay. All right. Mental preparation. Nobody likes interviews. Nobody likes talking to people that you don't know, especially in a formal setting. So the mental preparation that I've adopted, you know, when I'm a candidate is seriously don't panic. Seriously don't panic, right? And it's actually basically it's what it says. Don't panic. It's just a conversation between two people. You might feel nervous because you know, oh my gosh, they are more in a more powerful place than I am. But actually, they're looking to fill a job, and you're looking to get a job, right? So I kind of feel like it's a symbiotic relationship, right? So seriously, don't panic. It's just a conversation. The second thing is to be the best of yourself. So whatever it is that you need to do, make sure you channel all your day's reserve of energy into the session. Okay. Try to get yourself and hyped up as much as possible. So for myself, it's coffee. Or my colleagues also know coffee is my liquid strength. So I need to have it. So for yourself, make sure you channel and get all your energy ready. Be the best of yourself. Put away all the troubles of your day, everything that's plaguing you, and just focus for that 30 minutes and 45 minutes and give your best. Okay, no negativity seeps in, nothing. Just be the best version of yourself. The third thing that I find that also helps me a lot is, you know, thinking about something that awaits me after the session, right? In, you know, back in the day when we could interview face to face, right? The normal physiological reactions is that I go into the office, I speak to the receptionist, she leads me to a room. She asks me whether I need water. Wait here, Mr. Tan will be here, whatever it is, right? And, you know, please have a seat. You know, Mr. Tan will join you shortly. Do you need some water? Okay, these are the things, right? But I don't sit down. I stand up. You know, I start getting nervous. You know, my hands start to get sweaty, right? I look out the window, think about my questions. One of the things that I found to help myself, right, is I think about something that waits for me after, right? So it could be something like be watching a new Eternals movie with my son, I don't know, right? Or watching this, whatever it might be, after this session. And the only thing that stops me from having that fun is this 30-minute or 45-minute interview. Easy. So I just try to make sure that I look forward to something after the session, maybe drinks with friends, right? Drinks with a friend, only two people, you know, or maybe a meal, or maybe a movie and things like that, right? So that's how I prep myself so that I feel like, yeah, I can do it. All I need to do is just get through this. Okay, so mental preparation, also very important. All right. The third one, establishing chemistry and rapport, right? Again, yeah, everything's important now. Okay, so this one also critical. And I'll tell you why later, because this one splits into a couple of subtopics after this slide. Chemistry and rapport are like critical. In my humble opinion, right? Chemistry is chemistry, right, can already account for 49% of an interview. I mean, this is just my humble opinion. Okay, like an interview, if it's 100%, right? If you score 100 upon 100, you're gonna get hired, right? All right. Chemistry and rapport in itself is 49%. One element. My humble opinion. Why is it not 50%? Why is it not more? Because 50% onwards means it's a passing mark. I don't think chemistry itself, just having that alone, is going to pass you, but it's going to get you a bunch of points. So 49%, still a failing mark, right? But it's a big significant portion of any interview, right? So chemistry and rapport. Nobody hires people who are just nice and have chemistry rapport. You have to have some tangible skills. Okay, so chemistry rapport 49%. The remaining points, 51%, is basically going to be topped up by your skills, your education, and this and that, and so on and so forth. But I humbly believe, right, that the chemistry and rapport accounts for actually quite a lot already. Okay, so in order to get yourself in the zone, number one, smile, right? Obviously a word of thanks. Oh, hi, Mr. Tan, nice to meet you. No, thank you very much for having taking the time out to see me. Energy and being fully present. Doesn't matter if you're virtual or if it's face-to-face. Energy and fully present. Channel all the energy that you have, right? After the interview, go and knock out or whatever it might be, but channel it in that 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1 hour. Put everything that you have in there. Okay, be fully present. Important also is posture and eye contact, right? Again, be it physical or virtual, you can see you can't actually see my chair, but I'm not leaning in my chair. I'm actually leaning towards you because I'm invested in this conversation. Okay, so the same thing, right? You should be doing that. Enthusiastic, but carefully listening to interviewers. Super important as well, especially if it's multiple interviewers. Tricky, right? Because if it's one-to-one, obviously you're going to be listening to him or her. Very important. Listener. But if it's multiple people, more complicated because you got to listen to everybody. Okay, you got to be listening very carefully to it because you never know, no, which one of them is the one that's going to be the one that decides whether you get hired. You don't know, so you got to treat all of them as equals. Okay, if there's more than one interview, as I mentioned, try to engage all. Again, remember top skills, thinking on your feet. This is one instance, right? Thinking on your feet. If there's more than one interviewer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the worst that I've had is 7 in one go. Literally one long table, 7 people. My goodness, that was really, really tough. Okay, so the interviews are going to take turns to answer and say stuff. You got to try your very best to remember their names and what they're saying, and if possible, involve them in your answers. So let's say Tim, Ellen, and John. Tim, Ellen, and John talk to you, right? And one of them asks you a question, someone asks you something else. What I try to do, if I can, thinking on my feet, I try to rope in what Tim said, even though John asked me a question. John asked me a question, hey, what do you think of it? I try, like what Tim said just now, I totally agree, right? Right? So I try to make sure that all of them are involved. No one is left out. Super hard, but with practice, you can try. Okay, that's the thing. If it's much easier if it's one-to-one. It's much easier. Even if it's one-to-one, though, remember to listen very carefully because you may have to use some of the material content again later if some sort of a question comes up. Okay, so that's the next one. Okay, this one splits. Chemistry rapport splits, right? So there's this whole concept of likability. There's a QR code on the right, goes to an article by this guy from Dan Richards. And it's an article about how likable people are more likely to be hired, listened to, colleagues offer help, and to be promoted, right? It also goes to say that some people believe that likability is innate. It's either you're likable or you're not, but actually people are saying that as with any skill, if you focus on the right behaviors and apply yourself with practice, you will get better at being liked. Likability, right? And then also the QR code that you see now is linked to a book by Tim Sanders. It's called Likeability Quotient, I think so. Yeah, Likeability Factor. Yeah, have a look at it if you have the time, right? And it just highlights a few soft skills like friendliness, relevance, realness, and basically, I find it supremely useful for networking interviews and generally getting a good deal. What do I mean? What do I mean by that? Now, I don't know how many of you actually have that situation whereby, for the guys, or I don't know, girls, there's a bro kind of thing, and then, like the usual, hey bro, how you doing kind of thing, right? They like you like them. I go to the store downstairs, the convenience store, and vegetables are 120 a bag. But because the guy knows me and he's my bro, right, they say, hey, $1, So I think at the end of the day, likability is really quite an infectious thing. Okay. So I encourage all of you to explore a bit about this interesting phenomenon called likability, and do it in your own practice. I also wanted to acknowledge that for those of you in my age group, in the 40s or whatever it is, right? When you think about when you're in your younger years, we could stay on the phone and talk to girlfriends and boyfriends for 6 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours. I think that, philosophically now, just thinking about it, right? I think that we've lost the ability to do that, with WhatsApp and all these messaging platforms and things like this, right? I think we've lost the ability to have that connection, that face-to-face, and being comfortable, right? It's kind of hard even for me right now to hold on to a conversation on the phone for more than 5-10 minutes, where I could do it when I was younger for hours and hours. I don't know how I did it, right? And I think for some people, like yourself, right, you might understand what I'm talking about, right? So if we're getting rusty at face-to-face, I encourage you to try to get back to practice again. Now, as a career advisor, I'm blessed because I do this every day with candidates, right? As job seekers. I implore you, I encourage you guys to make sure that you try to go out and try to polish off these skills. It could be as simple as striking a conversation with the convenience store uncle or auntie, or the coffee shop person. I don't know, right? But just be comfortable in being friendly, and being likable, striking chemistry, striking rapport, getting chemistry going, and things like that. So I think that's very, very useful as well. Okay, so storytelling, getting ready for interview. Now, storytelling is not just a useful thing for interviews. It's useful for basically everything. Again, what are the top skills? Thinking on your feet, right? It's here. Authenticity is also here. Now, today's session in the VCF kind of environment, okay, you may not have to do any kind of like heavy duty storytelling, but in a networking session, if you are literally meeting strangers, mingling and talking, storytelling is very useful. Now, career coaches will tell you, hey, try to get ready for 3-4 stories and stuff like that. That's true, but I think what we mean by that is that don't go in with 4 or 3 or 2 or 10 prepared stories, right? And hoping that someone's going to ask you something about one of those 10 items. Go in to, go in not with stories ready, but go in ready to tell stories. Does it make sense? So basically, right, go inside there and listen to what the conversation goes and what they talk about, and start telling stories from there, or creating something interesting. So I give you an example. Now, when I was a headhunter, I was doing my BD. I was talking to this guy in a bank. Now, I had talked to him just very, very superficially on email. He came from Hong Kong to Singapore. He moved from Hong Kong to Singapore. And I said, I got to meet you. Let's have coffee. And I was a headhunter. Obviously, people think, oh, this guy wants some business from me, right? So when I met him at coffee, I was in the zone already. From the minute I met him all the way to the end, right? When we were lining up for coffee together, I was already talking to him already about everything, right? Oh yeah, he was telling me, oh, Singapore's very hot compared to Hong Kong. I said, oh yeah, it's super hot now, but you know what? 2 years ago it was like this, and then I was just like, I don't know what. I was just trying to build on something. I was latching onto something and just trying to get that chemistry going, and talking about this and that. Talked about children, talked about nothing about my business. I swear, in that first session, I did not talk anything about how my company can help him find candidates for jobs. I just wanted to talk to him, and we told stories, right? How my kids, his kids, and so on and so forth, right? And at the end, I left him my cards. Hey, look, if you ever need help, just let me know. We stand ready to help. You know what we can do, things like that. 2 weeks later, I get a call from the HR person saying, "Hey, you met our MD. We want to try you out on a few jobs." Okay, so that was my bet, right? I tried to make sure that I left that impression and the chemistry, shared stories and things like that, for him to remember me and hopefully support me lah, right? So storytelling again important lah. Okay, again it entails you thinking on your feet, right, and being authentic. Okay, so let's go. All right, today, if it's today or whatever it is, right? These are the things that I find would help you answer that dreaded question. So tell me about yourself. Walk me through your CV, something like that, right? These are some of the things that I feel would be helpful. Okay, first one is not the platform TikTok. This is literally the ticking and talking of a clock. Okay, 2 minutes. If someone asks you a question, tell me about yourself. Don't go more than 2 minutes. If you can, not more than 90 seconds, if you can. Okay, because after 2 minutes, the mind doesn't pay attention anymore. Or okay, maybe even 3 minutes. Okay, after 3, guaranteed, I tell you, I'm going to be thinking about what to have for lunch and stuff. Your interview is going to drift off. This is particularly challenging if you have a very long career. Okay, and if you spend 2 minutes on your first job in 1995, you're going to have a big problem, finishing up. Probably take about 15-20 minute monologue. No, okay, don't do that. Okay, 2 minutes. The way I do it is way you can do it is earliest to latest or logical grouping, right? You can do chronologically or group it together. Your experience, right? So if you've been in pharmaceuticals your whole life, right? So you can group all those instances, right? So bullet point number 3, group or classify your careers by themes and sectors. Okay, so for example, IT, technology, HR, corporate finance, for example, those are the big themes. Okay, the big themes in your career, right? And then the sectors. What is your sector? Oh, primarily within banking, a mixture of both banking and non-banking or corporates lah. Okay, if you can start grouping, you have a real fighting chance at doing your tell me about yourself in 2 minutes or less, right? But try not to go more than 3. Okay, and I do believe if you Google this, I think people will probably tell you the same thing. 2, no more than 3. I think lah. I'm guessing. Okay. So that's the thing. So give you a bit of an example now. Okay. Okay. So sample sequence of events, right? So employer says, "Hi, nice to meet you today." Right? Could be today, could be outside of the VCF, right? Could be anytime, right? So someone says, "Hey, hi, John, nice to meet you today." And you will probably say, "Oh, hello, Mr. Tan. Hi, Miss Lim," whatever it might be. Hi, maybe first name. "Nice to meet you also. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to me today. Appreciate you must be so immensely busy with all the other candidates in the VCF, right? You have to speak to." And you notice that I put an exclamation mark about "nice to meet you too," because I really want you to "nice to meet you too," right? Energy, right? So some of the things I say right from the get-go, right? People say your impression already is given in the first 10 seconds when you open your mouth. Okay, so make sure that you when you fire your opening salvo, make sure it's really, really good. Okay, so points to note: smile, lean in, try your best to look at the camera. You can see I'm running the slide, so I'm looking a bit down, but as far as possible, try to look at the camera. And then the gestures and the tone of voice. Okay, so yeah, gestures, as you can see, I hope it's not too terrible, but for myself, I like to gesture. And hopefully it's not overdoing it. Sorry if it is, but some gestures and tone of voice so to be mindful of. Okay. And then come ready. Tell me about yourself or walk me through your resume or your CV, right? And then this is just me thinking about how to answer, within a 2-minute timer. Like, well, as you can see from my CV and my resume, the majority of my career was in talent acquisition, coaching within an educational institution and with a governmental organization or whatever it might be. For you, that's how I would envision you to start, right? By giving that overall grouping, right? So again, by overview and themes, as you can see from my resume, majority of my career has been in this, within that sector. And then you carry on, right? You carry on. Okay. Give me a second. I need to move this slide. Okay. So I first started, this is you, by the way, this is not, this is you. So I first started in this company, I was doing this and that, I put in charge of this and that, picked up this particular set of skills. After a few years, I was lucky enough to move into this company, picked up other skills, finally in the last 4 years, my responsibilities have now grown, managing this and that. So in summary, I've acquired quite a broad range of skills from this all the way to okay, this is definitely less than 2 minutes. No, this is less than 1 minute. Okay. But it kind of hopefully gives you an idea of how to talk about in summary terms, right? As you can see from my CV, I started there, right? I was put in charge of this, and that. And when I moved to company Y, I was doing all of that. Plus I was given additional responsibility to do that. And that's what I did for the next 5 years. And most recently, for the last 4 years, I've been doing this. And when I reflect on my experience, right, I've got the whole breadth of experience already. So for myself, if you ask me, right, I first started in university. I was coaching students, undergraduates and postgraduates. And then after that, I joined the IBF, which kind of expanded my scope of coaching to the 40s to 60-year-olds. So when I reflect on my career, I've coached basically anybody from first careers, 20 years old, all the way to 60 years old, something like that. Chop, right? But of course, this is putting myself on the spot, thinking on my feet. I'd expect you guys to think about something slightly a bit more lavish, and use the 2 minutes to its best potential, best use. Okay, so again, you see the sub bullet points as the above. It's a guideline only. It'd be very, very strange if everybody said the same thing today. It'd be very strange. How come everybody's programmed to say this? Try to find your own voice. Okay, the next one is to summarize. This is a summary to accompany the resume, which they will see, because the resume is very formal. So this is just a summary. Okay, as you can see, I've tried to highlight growth trajectory and exposure. You can see that I gesture a lot as well, because I'm just into it, right? I'm very, and sometimes my hands need to go places, right? Or sometimes I need to show and guide people. When I first started here, I moved. So sometimes the visual cues are quite useful as well. And finally, continue with the energy and delivery. Okay, remember, just channel everything that you have in that 45 minutes, 1 hour, and just make the best impression that you can. Because believe you me, person that's going to be speaking to you is going to be speaking to 50 other people. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to try your best to make sure that after the day is over, after seeing 55 people, they always remember you. I like that guy, the one that the second candidate I met. Memorable. Okay. All right. So this thing that you're seeing right now is basically something scripted for someone who's not really doing a career change, right? It's just growth trajectory moving forward. I'm going for a more senior role. Okay. Then of course I created something for people who are mid-career changes, right? So same thing. Tell me about your resume, walk me through your CV. Well, as you can see, the majority of my career was in this and within that function, right? So for example, I've seen a lot of people who've done the 6-month, BCG Rise program, or the IBM I Vitalize program, or the PACE program, or the NUS Scale programs, right? They were compliance people 15 years. Then after that, they want to reinvent themselves. So, as you can see from my CV, the majority of my career was in compliance within the banking sector. Right. So that's the thing. And this is where it departs, right? For career changes. And this is where was the case right up to 2019. However, as I kept a close eye on technological developments, I realized that my role might soon be disrupted. And rather than biding time, I decided to take the preemptive steps and enrolled into this program, BCG Rise, whatever it might be. The program wasn't easy, but neither was my old career. But I didn't give up, and glad to say that I did it, and now ready to take on a new challenge, put these new skills to good use, and to contribute to you. Okay. So this is how I do it. And again, definitely less than 2 minutes. So you need to expand it a bit. Okay. 90 seconds to 2 minutes now. Okay. I'm just giving you a guidepost. Okay. Now, some of the key things, right, that I when I wrote this, some of the key things that I wanted to highlight was the fact that I wanted to come out as honest and rational and as future focused as possible. As you can see the bullet points below, right? It's an honest, it is very rational, and it's very future focused. I did not wait to get fired. Yeah. I took preemptive steps to enroll in this program, right? I foresaw that my work was going to be affected. And so I took the preemptive steps. What does it tell me? It tells me that you are a planner, you are a preemptor, right? I like that, right? And also you notice, right, the program wasn't easy, but neither was my old career. Okay, why did I write that? I want them to know that you can do anything you set your mind to. Now, give an example. First day of VCF yesterday, first session, after my deputy CEO spoke. First session yesterday was Aviva. Aviva's chief people officer, I think she was answering a question, if I'm not mistaken. And what kind of people do they want? And I believe she said, and you can see the recording if I'm right, she said that she wanted people who may not know how to do it, but will find out how to do it. I think so. That's what she said. Okay. So the reason why I created things like this is to show people that even though I came from something else, that job or that career that I have wasn't easy, for me, but I did it. This course that I took wasn't easy, but I also do it. Give me a job, I can also do it. Something like that, right? So I just want you guys to think about the most compelling pitch that you can, right? To demonstrate certain things, your foresight, preemptiveness. I didn't know what to do. I was totally new about this, but I overcame it. I did it, right? And I'm ready to contribute to you. Remember, it's all about them, not you. Okay, don't say I'm ready to find a job. A company give me a job so I can put it to the test. That's true, but it's always a more diplomatic way of putting it, right? So let me offer these roles, or that I'll offer these skills to you, right? So this is what I'm trying to say. So the second bullet point, as you can see, is I can overcome. I can do it, right? I know I'm new, right? I know I'm mid-career, but I can do it. I can overcome. I've done it before, right? I just finished this program, and I can definitely do it. Whatever you throw at me, I can do it, right? So you want to try your very best to get that across. Okay, so some warnings now, yeah? Do not over-rehearse, okay? Important, you may script something for yourself, like maybe 2 paragraphs, but it's important to not rehearse, because if you rehearse, what's going to happen? You're going to sound like a robot, right? My name is Tim. I am 40, and it's just going to sound very weird, okay? So don't over-rehearse. So like even right now, I don't have a script when I'm doing the session. I'm just saying whatever comes to me. So don't over-rehearse. The way I think that you guys might do it right best is to script down the guiding points rather than the entire paragraph. So I scripted the paragraph for you guys just to see what it might look like at the end. But I think guiding points are very useful. Guiding points, right? Okay, so I'm going to tell them from here, and I'm going to tell them about this, and then that, and then moving to this, and so on and so forth, right? So the authenticity, as you can see, the top skills, the authenticity comes by on the spot. You have your guideposts. You try to use the phrases or the words, right, to connect you from one to the next in your own words. It will come up very authentic. It will come up with like, you will end up saying some whatever it might be. That's okay. A few of it's okay, because it kind of symbolizes authenticity. You didn't over-rehearse, and you are actually speaking from the heart right now. But the benefit is that you have the guidepost already, right? The guidepost. So the key would be to move from one guidepost to the next guidepost with your own voice. And you notice that even if you do this, right, it's with every interview you do, it's going to change a little bit, because you're guided by only the guidepost, from guidepost A to guidepost B, from my first job to the second job. Saying it might turn out differently, right? And that's authenticity. Okay, so remember, don't over-rehearse. All right. Okay. You're going to face with some tough questions. And listen, right now, I can tell you that the technical stuff is, it's definitely going to come in. But the technical stuff has a finite answer. 1 + 1 = 2, 365 days of the year, right? 1 + 1 = 2, right? But the tough questions have always been the open-ended ones. Okay, the one that has no correct answer. It's only correct to the ears of the interviewer. So these are some of the tough ones, right? What are some of the transferable skills you believe you can offer to the role, and with your level of experience? Again, research, right? Research is gonna tell you, when you look at the job, when you look at yourself. So what's the transferable skills you believe? What made you choose to make such a radical move to leave a comfortable role to face the prospect of starting from scratch? Tough question. A very tough question. And you have the answer to it. So what really made you make such a radical move? Oh, maybe you can use one of the previous paragraphs. Oh, I foresaw that something was going to happen in my job and so on and so forth, right? So these are tough questions, right? Out of the 1,000 odd candidates, is there anything you'd say for yourself that you believe differentiates you from your fellow course mates? Like say you came up from a course, right? And there's like flooded, with course mates everywhere, left, right, center, right? What makes you different? Tough question, but real question, right? What makes you different, right? So these are the really, really interesting one, but tough ones, right? So maybe I don't give you the answer to the third one now. We have put prospective answers, but if you want to know what we would answer, you come and see us, okay? Okay. So some more. What has been your biggest professional setback? Okay, here's the thing. The keyword here is what? Yeah, setback is one, but the keyword here is professional. Okay, it's not personal setback; it's professional setback. Okay, so don't drag in all the personal stuff. Okay, listen to as I mentioned earlier, listen to the question very carefully. What has been your biggest professional setback? And think about something good. Surely you must have something to say, lah. Okay, so the next one is I rang up your ex-colleague. What do you think they would tell me about you as a working colleague? So, something that you think about. Hopefully, you were a really great person to work with, and you left some lasting impressions, left a legacy. People like you, and will testify to your new employer about you, right? And you know what they say. Can you recall a time or incident where you demonstrated adaptability, calmness under pressure, and overcoming obstacles? Right? This is one of those questions whereby if you worked with a coach, or if you're thinking about working with a coach, we talk to you about models like the STAR model, PAR model, right? Problem, action, result. How to structure the thing, right? Or situation, task, action, result, STAR model, right? So these are literally some of the questions that might come in. And I think that it'd be very wise for you to try to preempt some of these, right? But as I said, coming back to that second slide, right? Is it second, third slide? Top skills. Authenticity is key. Thinking on your feet is key. Okay. Wait, hang on a second. Sorry, before I finish. My second last slide, as you can see. Summary. Establish chemistry and rapport. Super important. Now you know. It's been the symbol of my life, my whole entire professional life. Chemistry and rapport. I mean, I don't care who you are. I mean, like I want to get to know you. Right? Unless you're, really nasty or whatever, then I probably don't want to get to know you. But generally speaking, right, chemistry and rapport has always served me very well. I just don't know how to tell you, but because of chemistry and rapport and just being nice to people and just taking care of people the best that you possibly can, it just comes around, right? When I got my job at JP Morgan, I didn't get it through a website. I got it through a candidate that I placed, right? And then I was taking care of her and so on and so forth, right? Making sure that and she told me that, hey, there was a role and I got the role, right? So chemistry rapport is really good and very important for everybody to try to establish, right? Just be nice and go ahead and practice it with, people in your neighborhood, right? Friends or acquaintances and so on and so forth. Second one, brain first, mouth second. What does that mean? In an interview situation, when you're nervous, there is always a propensity or a risk that you run that it becomes the reverse order. Mouth first and brain second. If that happens, big trouble. Small trouble that can develop into a big problem, right? So wherever possible, again, coming to the top skills, think on your feet, brain first, mouth second, right? If you come against a really tough question, like, wow, I mean, like this question is really, really tough, try to get your brain to fire and buy some time. So for myself, right, when I'm in trouble and I hear a question that's ridiculously like, oh my gosh, I did not see this coming. Number one, be cool. And I try to tell myself, brain first, mouth second. How do I buy time? I let my brain process it for a few seconds. How do I do it? I basically say, this is what I do. Whoa, that's a very interesting question. I never actually thought about it, until you just mentioned it. In those words that I'm saying, 4 or 5 seconds, my brain's already firing, trying to think of an answer already. I'm trying to formulate an answer already. Now, when I'm roughly ready with a plan, then I say, okay. So if you don't have a filter. And if you say something that's not like vetted by your brain, you might be digging a hole that you cannot come out of. Okay, so wherever possible, be cool. Be cool, brain first, mouth second, So I say, oh, that's a really interesting question. And then nobody's actually asked me that. Let me think about it for 5 seconds. 5 seconds. And then I go, well, I guess I would answer it this way. Then I would say, right? It may not be perfect, but it's much better than unadulterated, unfiltered content. Trust me. Okay. KISS, KISS. Keep it short and sweet. Keep it short and simple. Keep it short and sweet. Okay. It's super important, right? As I said, monologues, no good, right? Because human beings, right? If I gave you a monologue about this or whatever it is, I think you're probably drifting off already. Right now, even I'm doing this slide, so I'm hoping that I'm still grabbing your attention, right? But in an interview situation, remember to keep it short and sweet. Remember, 60 seconds, 90 seconds. Tell me about yourself, no more than 2 minutes, right? Keep it short and sweet to the point. Again, my colleagues would tell you, my analogies are like so many, right? And I always like to use analogies. So this analogy, keep it short and sweet, right? In anything, your resume, your speech, keep it like an espresso, not an Americano. Americano is like coffee with 70%, 80% water, diluted. Espresso is small. When it hits you hard, it hits you fast, you straight away wake up. Okay, so everything that you do, espresso strength. This is how I live my life. Everything's espresso strength. You drink it, straight away wake up, right? And you caught my attention. Awesome. I finish it very quickly. Right? Espresso is like 300-400 mLs, right? It takes a long time to finish and it's diluted, right? So when it comes to your resume, your pitching, your interview, your answering, whatever it might be, KISS, can't go wrong. Okay. Try to make them feel special. It's fourth one. Try to make them feel special. Okay. If you're interviewing with 10 people, if you're using the same speech, right, it's not going to be good. And every HR person is going to tell you, try to tailor make your resume for everybody, but also try to make them feel special when you're interviewing with people. All right. I mean, like, if you know something about the company, again, that's where research comes in. Feel free when the opportunity comes by to let them know what you know about them, right? Because some interview questions might ask you, hey, what do you know about my company? What makes you attracted to my company? So try to make them feel special. Show them that you've done your research. Okay. And then obviously plausible and believable answers. I like to joke now with people, people who have attended the session before, the example I give, plausible and believable answers. Why did you leave your last job as a trader or whatever it is? Oh, because I was making too much money and I felt disgusted myself. I felt like, oh, dirty, making so much money. I wanted to make half that. Really? I mean, like, plausible and believable answers, please. Okay, so make sure that it comes from the heart. Authenticity, as I mentioned, right? Top skill, right? Thinking your feet and so on and so forth, right? And so I know that we didn't have a lot of time, and I literally I'm turning to my right because I'm looking at time. I have 5 minutes. I don't know whether or not I can take any questions, but I'm gonna give you this email address. Do me a favor, guys. For those people who don't know us, come and sign up and meet a career coach, because we can talk to you one-to-one on anything that you might be facing right now in your career journey. If your career is a vehicle, we're here to be your mechanics. Another analogy, it's a new one, to help you figure out which part of your car or your vehicle is rattling, right? So if it's your resume, if it's your confidence level, if it's your networking ability, anything, we're here to help. Okay, so please, let me just, as I said again, encourage everyone who don't know us and who's exploring roles within banking and finance. Please write to that email address. Request a career advisory session. Just say, you came through the VCF, you attended this session, you want to follow up with a one-to-one session with a career advisor. Myself or one of my colleagues be very, very happy to speak to you for an hour, just to find out those pain points, just to help you get to be the best version of yourself. Okay. And is there anything else I want to say? I don't think that I can answer any questions. I'm so sorry, because if I overrun, it becomes a snowball effect by the end of the day. So please write. If you have any questions that I couldn't really answer, please write to the email address and we will definitely answer your questions. And I think that's it. And thank you so much, everyone, for attending this session, for waking up in the morning. And I look forward to seeing some of you guys. Flo, I'm just going to hand back to you.
Thanks very much, Adrian. I think the career advisory team, your colleagues have been studiously replying to a lot of the questions that have come in during the session. So I think this is a good time for us to end the session since most of the questions have been answered. We are glad that a lot of you have feedback that you found this session very helpful. So do come back and join us for the next session at 2 p.m. When we have another career advisory fireside to give you more tips on how to do your job search. Meanwhile, our next session will be a sharing session by UBS at 10:30 a.m. So we're going to end the session now and we'll see you back here. Click on the registration link and join us later at 10:30. We'll see you then.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Adrian.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.